I rented my house to a recent graduate from a top university, and on the night she moved in, she sent me a photo at midnight. In the picture, a single hair lay curled in the corner of the room. Tenant, landlord, this isn't my hair. It must be DNA from the previous tenant. Can you come clean it up? I stared at the message for a few seconds, unsure how to respond. In the end, I politely told her to handle it herself. 30 minutes later another message appeared, this time a photo of a device reading from the kitchen faucet. 158. That's above the normal level. Prolonged consumption could damage kidney function. Please install a water filter tomorrow. That was the final straw. I blocked her number, assuming that would end it. The next day a package arrived at my door. Inside was a 30-page document titled Report on Potential Environmental Safety Hazards of the Residence and an official-looking lawyer's letter. My phone rang as I finished the title page. Tenant, did you receive it? Her voice was calm, steady, and smug. Skylar Griffin, I said slowly, gripping the letter so hard the edge cut my palm, what on earth are you trying to pull? Nothing dramatic, she replied lightly. Ms. Murphy, I'm simply protecting my tenant rights as stated by law. You sent a 30-page report and hired a lawyer over one strand of hair and tap water? I asked, incredulous. It's not a strand of hair, she corrected. It's an unidentified biological sample. And it's not just the tap water, the total dissolved solids exceed safe limits. Since this is your first violation, I'll be lenient, refund the rent and deposit, pay compensation for emotional distress, and renovate the property according to my report within 3 days. Then I'll consider withdrawing the lawsuit. I laughed in disbelief. And if I refuse? Then we'll see each other in court, she said evenly. My lawyer will apply to freeze your property and bank accounts, and I'll distribute my full report to every resident in the building. The call ended, leaving only the hollow hum of disconnection. In all my 30 years, I had never encountered anyone so absurd. When I opened the PDF sheet emailed, Residential Safety and Health Risk Assessment Report, I almost laughed aloud. It looked like an official government paper. Risk 1, the bedroom floor tilts by 0.01 degrees, potentially causing long-term spinal misalignment. Risk 2, indoor PM 2.5 levels measure 15, within national standards, but higher than the Swiss Alps. An upgraded ventilation system is advised. Risk 3, the Wi-Fi router's nighttime radiation exceeds the safe range for pregnant women and infants by 0.001%, possibly disrupting sleep and brain development. Each entry had graphs, charts, and citations from international journals. I exhaled slowly and called the property manager. Manager Moore, I said. Have you met the new tenant in my apartment? Director Murphy, he answered carefully, are you talking about Ms. Griffin? She came by today with a lawyer and a few people in lab coats. They were collecting water, air, and soil samples around the neighborhood, said they're preparing a health risk assessment for the entire complex. The owner's group chat is blowing up. Speechless, I pinched the bridge of my nose. Don't worry. I'll handle it. I texted Skylar, tomorrow at 10 a.m., I'll bring my lawyer. We'll talk face to face. Her reply came instantly, please arrive on time. I hope your lawyer is as competent as mine. That last line, as competent as mine, made me want to throw my phone. The next morning, I went alone. When the door opened, Skylar stood there in a crisp white dress, gold-rimmed glasses catching the light. She looked refined, composed, and unbearably smug. Behind her was the same lawyer who had threatened me. Ms. Murphy, where's your lawyer? Skylar asked, adjusting her glasses. To deal with you? I don't need one, I replied, stepping inside. The place was spotless, unnaturally so, like a lab. The faint scent of disinfectant hung in the air. Her lawyer handed me a folder. Ms. Murphy, this is my client's final proposal. First, a full refund of this month's rent and deposit, $24,000. Second, compensation for emotional distress, lost wages, and testing costs, $100,000. Third, a full renovation, estimated at $200,000. Total, $324,000. I skimmed the list. Replace all flooring with sterile German materials. Install a medical-grade ventilation system from Switzerland. Upgrade water pipes to 316 liters stainless steel. Repaint walls with zero formaldehyde coatings from Finland. A dry laugh escaped me. Skylar, do I really look that gullible? She stepped closer, eyes flat. Ms. Murphy, I'm only acting within reason and within the rules. Rules? I echoed. Yes, she said calmly. Rules are everything. And I just happen to understand them better than most. A self-satisfied smile curved her lips. I should introduce myself properly. I completed both my undergraduate and master's degrees at Vanderbilt Law School, focusing on economic and procedural law. No matter who you hire, you won't win. My advice? Settle and pay what's owed. Otherwise, your property will be frozen, and your name will end up on the National Credit Blacklist. Her lawyer nodded solemnly. They stood there radiating confidence. I could only shake my head, it was so absurd it was almost funny. Just then, Skylar's phone rang. Her tone turned sugary. Hi Mom. Yes, I've already rented the place. The landlord's slow, but don't worry, my lawyers handled it. Soon she'll pay up and fix everything. When you and Dad come, you'll move straight into a renovated home. She hung up and smiled smugly. Did you hear that? Everything I do is for my parents. I'm such a good daughter, even the heavens will be on my side. So that was her goal, not justice or safety, but a free renovation for her parents' new home. Her lawyer cleared his throat. Ms. Murphy, have you reached a decision? I looked at her evenly. Let me guess, you've already shared your report in the owner's group chat? I was simply being a responsible resident, she replied sweetly. People deserve to know about DNA contamination and heavy metal exposure, right? My phone buzzed nonstop, calls from neighbors, the community director, all demanding explanations. Through it all, Skylar just smiled. See? She murmured. That's how rules work. Public opinion is the tide that decides which way it goes. She leaned back, perfectly composed. Sign the agreement and we'll still be neighbors. If not, maybe I'll invite a few journalists, let them write about you, the cruel landlord who endangered her tenant. Imagine your name on the front page. I stared at her, searching for the weakness behind that smug mask. Then, quietly, I began recording. Skylar, are you sure you want to go to court over $100,000? $324,000, she corrected mockingly. Math isn't your strong suit. And this isn't about money, it's about principle. All right then, I said evenly, ending the recording. You'll get my response in 3 days. Don't bother, she called as I turned to leave. I've already filed a pre-litigation injunction. The court will be in touch soon. Outside, sunlight blazed but offered no warmth. Dealing with someone like Skylar wouldn't be easy. She hid behind the law like armor and wielded public opinion like a weapon. If I wanted to beat her, I needed something beyond ordinary methods. When I reached my car, I didn't drive home. I went straight to my office. Cognitech Technology wasn't just any company, it was one of the nation's leading tech giants, and I, Luna Murphy, was its founder and CEO. Most employees rarely saw me in person, which explained why Skylar hadn't recognized me. A knock came on my door. My assistant, Violet Webb, entered. President Murphy, welcome back, she greeted. Bring me the final list for this quarter's Star of Cognitech program, I said. The program recruited fewer than 10 top graduates each year, the best of the best. Violet handed me the folder. I flipped through the resumes, Harvard, MIT, Cambridge. Then froze on the last name. Skylar Griffin, Vanderbilt University Law School, Assigned Department, Legal Affairs and Risk Control, Employee ID number 10327. A slow smile curved my lips. Wasn't that poetic? The arrogant law graduate suing her own future CEO, with help from a rival firm. I picked up my phone and dialed her number. Ms. Murphy, have you made your decision? Skylar's voice was as smug as ever. I told you 3 days, I replied evenly. Changed your mind already? People like you never win against me. Bring the signed settlement tomorrow, and be polite. Tomorrow at 10, I said calmly. Same place. I'll bring the answer you've been waiting for. The next morning I arrived right on time. Schuyler and her lawyer were already there, their expressions daring me to fold. "Ms. Murphy, looks like you came to your senses," the lawyer said, sliding a pre-drafted settlement across the table. Schuyler reclined on the sofa, idly swirling water in her glass. "Good," she said. "We could have saved ourselves trouble if you just signed sooner. Go on, sign it. Then start renovating. And since my parents are getting older, hire 2 full-time caregivers for them. I'll send the salaries monthly, just link your account to my phone. For me, I'll take a daily cleaning service. 10 visits a day should do. I'll help you set the payments, use your highest limit account." She smiled brightly. "Oh, and you should move out soon. My fiancé and I will be married, and with my parents next door, we'll just take over your house. Convenient, right? You're not afraid I might be your boss?" I asked quietly. She blinked, then laughed. "You? My boss? Please. Do you even know where I work? Someone like you could never compare to Cognitech technology. Even the janitors there have more class than you. Stop dreaming, old woman. You're past your prime." I raised an eyebrow and opened my briefcase. I placed a document on the table, an official employment contract. "Take a look. That's your name, isn't it?" Schuyler leaned forward. The moment she saw Schuyler Griffin in bold at the top, her smile vanished. "What? What is this?" Her lawyer looked over her shoulder, the color drained from his face. "Schuyler Griffin. Employee Idaho 10327, I said evenly. "Welcome to Cognitech Technology." I met her eyes. "Allow me to introduce myself properly. I'm Luna Murphy, your direct superior and the CEO of Cognitech." Schuyler went slack, as if the air had been knocked out of her. The lawyer began hastily gathering his things. "Not so fast, counselor," I said pleasantly. "You, a Caldwell law firm attorney, are backing a suit against your client's future employer, my company. Tell me, is this your personal hobby, or Caldwell's official position?" The room tightened around the name Caldwell. "Aren't you currently bidding against us for the Southern District Industrial Park project?" I continued. "From the outside, this looks a lot like corporate interference, or worse, commercial bribery." Cold sweat beaded on his brow. "President Murphy, this is a misunderstanding, total misunderstanding." Schuyler jabbed a finger at him. "You told me the landlord was just an ordinary middle-aged woman, easy to intimidate. You promised we'd split the fees, 10% for you, the rest for me." He blanched. "Not true, you came to me wanting to teach the landlord a lesson." They bickered like scavengers over scraps. I turned back to Schuyler. "I read your report," I said. "Your data is thorough. Your logic is coherent. You have talent. I let the compliment curdle. But you used it for the wrong thing. Your probation starts next week, correct? Consider this, your 30-page house environmental safety hazard report will be entered as your first performance assessment." She sagged onto the sofa, trembling. "This can't be real. You can't be the CEO of Cognitech. Must I be a gullible landlady for your story to work?" I asked mildly. "You have 2 options." Her eyes flicked to me, desperate. "Option 1, I call the police. You conspired with a rival firm to extort me. That's criminal. Your diplomas, your career trajectory, they vanish." She shook so hard she could barely stay upright. "Option 2, withdraw every filing immediately and vacate my property today. Post a public apology everywhere you ceded your report, the community chat, any forum, anywhere else. Clear my name." The lawyer stood paralyzed, drenched in sweat. "And one more thing," I added. "You like writing reports. Prepare another, 100 pages. Topic, Ethics and Professional Conduct in Modern Society. You'll deliver it aloud to our legal department next week. Consider it your orientation." Schuyler's mouth opened, but no sound came out. The lawyer bowed repeatedly. "President Murphy, please, she's young and foolish. Show mercy. Our firm will withdraw from the Southern District bid immediately." "That's Caldwell's problem," I said. "As for Ms. Griffin, she made her choice. She can live with the consequences." I picked up my briefcase. "You have until 10 o'clock tomorrow. If I don't see your apology letter by then, expect the police." And the report, handwritten. One error and you start over. Back at Cognitech, a calm satisfaction settled over me. Violet glanced up as I entered. President Murphy, was it resolved? It is, I said, setting down my briefcase. Tell legal to schedule a meeting next week. A new recruit will be giving her first presentation. Violet hesitated. Also, a partner from Caldwell called. He invited you to dinner. They're willing to make major concessions on the Southern District project. Let the project team handle it, I said. Business is business. I don't mix personal affairs with work. The next morning, Miles sent a screenshot of Skylar's public apology. She admitted her fabrications, apologized to me, the neighborhood, and everyone she'd dragged into the mess. She moved out that night. At 10, Violet knocked. President Murphy, Ms. Griffin is here. Skylar entered clutching a thick stack of A4 paper. She looked exhausted, her earlier arrogance scrubbed away. President Murphy, I'm sorry, she said hoarsely. The report, I finished it. I flipped through the pages. The handwriting was precise. Do you understand what you did wrong? I asked. She kept her head bowed. When she finally spoke, her voice shook. I used what I knew to hurt others. I was too proud. I've always been the top student. My parents said the world would bend if I mastered the rules. I believed that if I knew the system, I could control everything. After meeting you, I realized how wrong I was. Please. Give me another chance. I watched her in silence. You're not here because of your childhood. You're here because you twisted rules to suit yourself. Now that they've turned against you, you regret it. Her face blanched. I'll keep the report, I said. You'll present at next week's meeting. Whether you remain after probation depends on your performance. Relief crashed through her. Thank you, President Murphy. I won't disappoint you. Leave, I said. I'd had enough of her face for one day. Violet slipped in, refilled my cup, then blinked at the stack. You're really letting her walk away. Let her walk, I said, sipping my coffee. We're only at the overture. I looked at the manuscript. Scan it and send it to HR and all department heads. Title it, Exemplary Study on New Employee Ethics and Ideological Growth. Violet clapped a hand over her mouth, laughing. Diabolical. But inspired? To handle the unorthodox, I said lightly, use unorthodox methods. A week later, under bright conference lights, Skylar read her 100 pages aloud. Snickers rippled at the edges of the room. The department watched the prodigy tremble through her own sermon. During probation she was buried in the dullest work and the worst clients. She endured without complaint, arriving first, leaving last, working weekends. She believed effort would save her. 3 months later HR delivered the verdict. Technical performance, satisfactory. Ethics and risk assessment, high risk. The company will not extend a permanent offer. I watched on my office monitor as the words "not hired" hit her like a fall through ice. She bolted for my floor, only for security to block the way. Over the intercom I said, Skylar, I gave you a chance. You failed the evaluation. Cognitech doesn't keep people like you. You lied, she shouted, fist thudding on the door. You used me. You seem to have forgotten who tried to deceive whom first, I replied. Leave with what dignity you have left. The sobbing outside faded. Violet soon reported Skylar had resigned and left the building. I felt nothing. This wasn't revenge, it was enforcement. Integrity is a cornerstone. Power magnifies character, good or bad. A week later an unknown number snarled in my ear. Are you Luna Murphy? I am. Who's this? I'm Skylar's mother. How dare you fire my daughter? She graduated from Vanderbilt. She's brilliant. I almost laughed. You misunderstand. She failed to meet standards. That's a lie. You destroyed her future. I have your address. I'll make sure you pay. She meant the rental address. Instead of anger, a cold smile touched my lips. You like reports? I have one on your husband's company, tax evasion, forged invoices, unfair competition. All notarized. Shall I forward it to the tax authority and economic investigation office, or pretend it doesn't exist? Silence. Then ragged breathing. You're lying. Believe what you like. But take a reminder with you, leave people a margin. Paths cross again. Don't test those you can't afford to offend. I ended the call, certain she understood. Life returned to normal. I asked my agent to relist the apartment. Violet frowned. You own so many places. Why personally manage this one? I smiled. That flat was my first purchase, proof I'd climbed from nothing. Tending to it calmed me. Market research, I said. A young couple soon applied, fresh out of college, carrying a small orange cat. Is it okay if we keep him? The girl asked. He's quiet and doesn't scratch, the boy added. We'll keep everything clean. Their nervous hope reminded me of my younger self. Of course, I said. I like cats. And I'll give you a 20% discount. Starting out isn't easy. On signing day, they brought a little pot of succulents and homemade cookies. Warmth lingered after they left. The same space, different stories, some turning it into a battlefield, others into a home. 6 months later, an industry forum pinned a post, Out of the Maze, How I Found My Lost Humanity, by Skylar Griffin. Curiosity 1. In a candid tone she described her scheme to extort a simple landlady, only to be outplayed by the demon CEO. She attached her 100-page report, admitting those months had been the darkest, and most meaningful, of her life. Laws weren't weapons, she wrote, above rules stood humanity. I once believed I had mastered the rules of the world. That woman taught me that above all rules, there is humanity. I lost, and I admit it. It feels like the beginning of being a real person. Comments split, scorn, sympathy, curiosity about the demon CEO. I couldn't tell whether her contrition was genuine or performative. It no longer mattered. That afternoon Violet set a neatly wrapped box on my desk. From Ms. Griffin. Inside lay a single strand of hair sealed in a clear evidence bag and a card in Skylar's hand. President Murphy, this is my hair, a keepsake to remind me who I am, where I came from, and who I should never become. Under your guidance, my parents' company paid back taxes and restructured successfully. They asked me to thank you for not destroying us. I didn't throw it away. I placed it alongside the purchase deed of my first apartment, one marking the beginning, the other a strange milepost on the way forward. A year later, Cognitech Southern District Industrial Park opened. I walked on stage to speak. In the crowd I spotted Skylar, no longer arrogant, but composed. Beside her stood a middle-aged woman who looked like an owner. She'd found a place in the world. Our eyes met. She raised her glass with a gentle smile. I nodded back. The grudge evaporated like mist in sunlight. After the ceremony Violet approached. President Murphy, Ms. Griffin asked me to pass a message. She's doing well. She's learned the real purpose of rules, protect the weak and hold the strong accountable, not serve pride. I smiled. Then that 100-page report wasn't wasted. On the drive home, the young couple called. Luna, I'm pregnant. The girl squealed. We want to buy the apartment. Our baby should be born and grow up here. A quiet joy warmed me. Of course. Pay in installments, no interest. She laughed, bright and clean. City lights blurred past my window. Being a landlord wasn't so bad. You meet hedgehogs like Skylar, prickly, defensive, and sunflowers like that couple, full of warmth. Together they make a real, complicated, endlessly fascinating world. And me? I'm an observer, sometimes a rule setter, reminded that while rules matter, what we do with them matters more.